Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Be Her with Shalon. I'm Shalon, your host, and this is my podcast where we talk about just what it means to be authentic to who you are and how you show up in the world, and just the journey of self-love and being true to who you are and coming back to yourself over and over and over again. And as we wrap up February, which was all around relationships and like love and self love, which is like your most important relationship. We talked about that last week. Like your most important relationship with yourself is the one that you have with yourself, right? And I often talk about like coming back to yourself, right? Coming back to yourself over and over and over again, and what that looks like. Okay. That union, that inner divine union, that is what we work on over and over and over again, right? And it's like, it's not just a one and done thing. It's an ever unfolding. As we shift and change and grow, so too do we need to like rediscover ourselves over and over and over again, right? I've talked before that I'm going through like a very transformational shift in my life right now, where I have been this like stay-at-home solo mom for such a long time, such a long time. And I've loved every minute of it. I have really loved this opportunity to be at home and be with my kids and raise them. And now my baby's graduating this year. And so it's a really big shift, as in like, this morning I woke up and I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this? And for once in my life, it wasn't for anybody else but me. And that shifted things very quickly because I felt like my whole life I've been getting up every day for my kids, getting up every day for my clients, getting up every day for this, getting up every day for that, right? Because I have to get this, that, and the other done, because I have 222 on my clock right now for confirmation. So like, and this morning it was like, no, I get to decide. I get to choose. I get to choose why. I get to choose what my life is going to look like now for the rest, not the rest of my life, but for this next phase of my life. I get to choose, right? I've always chosen for my kids and what would be best for them, or what would be best for our circumstances, or what would be best for that, or what other people wanted me to do and everything else. And it was like, no, actually, no, I get to decide. I get to decide what I want to do. And I think that's like a beautiful thing, right? To rediscover what those things are, right? I don't teach these things because I'm not experiencing them or haven't experienced them. I teach these things because this is what I've gone through time and time and time again, right? Like when my oldest daughter graduated, when she left home and she graduated, and then now my youngest graduating. And even like when we got a puppy, like that was a big life thing. And all last year I was like, oh my God, what were we thinking? Like, as much as I love her, like she was a puppy. And it was like, I've told people time and time again, getting an animal is like having a permanent baby. And I was like, hello, what were you thinking? But I wouldn't have it any other way. I love her so much. And I'm so grateful that we got her. And she just like brings so much joy and everything to our world. But those are like big changes. Those are big transitions, right? Where we rediscover who we are. And it's like, oh, she has challenged me and pushed me and changed me in so many ways. And I have realized for sure that you definitely have. I can understand now from a grandparent perspective, because she's my grandpuppy, that we have different patience we really do have different patience for grandchildren than we do for our own children. That's for sure. But we're living very different lives when we have our children than grandpuppies, right? Or grandbabies or whatever, right? Because I was like, actually dated a guy who he had a little girl and, not a little girl, a granddaughter, sorry. And so for that little moment in time, I got to be like the grandma. I always said I was like, kind of like the grandma. My girls, they used to bother me. She's like, they're like, haha, you're like a grandma. And I was like, no, I'm a grandma. But, Like it was so fun. Like it was just so fun to be like playful and like do all of these fun childlike things again, right? And so, but it makes you show up differently, right? You choose to show up differently, okay? And so this is where the rediscovery comes into play, right? And relearning who you are outside of like just being the stay-at-home single mom, right? Or being the maybe you were in a relationship and you're not anymore, or maybe you were married and you're not anymore, and so now you're like, who in the hell am I outside of this marriage? Who am I outside of this relationship? I don't even know, because we mesh our energy together so much that it's like, now what do I do without this person, right? We used to do these things together. Now what are we doing? Now what am I doing, right? And so it's just this beautiful evolution of ourselves as we shift and we grow. 555. Oh my God, I love that. But on my clock. So fives are all about change, right? And so as we shift and we grow and we change, like there's just this like this beautiful unfoldment, this evolution that happens with ourselves. And that means like rediscovering our values, rediscovering our morals, rediscovering all of those things. Like, who am I and how am I showing up in the world now? Right. And I actually, during my live today, had a lady, she made a comment about, how what was the comment now? Every Wednesday I do lives, Facebook lives on where I pull Oracle card guidance for whoever shows up, just so you know if that's of any interest to you. You can follow me on Facebook. But she was talking about running out of time, how she has this like an impending fear of like running out of time. And if you're like a light worker or an empath or whatever, like we have that feeling where it's like, fuck, I have to get all this stuff done or I'm gonna run out of time and I don't have enough time to get it all done and it's not going fast enough and what am I gonna do and da 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 da. And I've learned upon the journey that the more we try and force things, the harder it's going to be. It's like pushing against like a brick wall constantly trying to force it to happen. And the more that we do that, the more frustrated we get and the less out of flow that we are, right? And the harder things are, right? And so we really have to trust in this evolution of ourselves, right? I wrote my book, the HeartBreak Handbook, in 2019. Okay. I released it as an ebook and I sold a few copies, whatever, no big deal. I was at a very different 2019 or 2020. Oh my God, I can't even remember now. Sorry. Anyway, but I was at a very different stage in my life at that point in time than I am now, right? It's like I had to go through this phase of events over the past, like, let's say 4-ish years, so that I could become this person that I needed to be, that was like this author with this book, right? If I had tried to show up as that person in 2019, that woman in 2019, it wouldn't have, it wasn't aligned, right? Yes, I wrote the book. Yes, I had the knowledge. Yes, whatever. But now I had to become this person who could talk about heartbreak and without the shame, without the guilt, without the whatever, without the fear of judgment or whatever else, right? Because there is, like, don't get me wrong, let's talk about that for a minute. How when you get divorced, the shame and the guilt and the everything that you need to go through, that you need to process through, that was like 15 years ago. But there's this judgment, there's this like fear, especially if you're religious. Like, girl, like I was Catholic, so that's not something we did. We did not get divorced, right? And so like that in itself was very like shameful, right? And the fact that like I felt like I failed my marriage, I failed my kids, I failed myself, I failed da, 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 right? So when you're like carrying all of this stuff with you and you're just like, I was not that person. I was a very different person than I am now. And so we have to trust in this evolution. We have to trust in this ever unfolding. It's like I'm getting the visual of the card, the ever unfolding rose. And that's really what it is. We are this rose, right? And we start as the seed. And we have these intentions and we water them and they germinate and they bust through the soil and they grow and then they bloom. And that's not immediate, right? The day we plant the seed is not the day we eat the fruit, right? And so I planted the seed with my book. I planted it in like 2020, let's say 2020. I think it was closer to 2020. Anyway, I planted the seed. And now finally, last year, I got it printed off and I had my book launch. And that was amazing. Oh my God. I never in my life did I think I was going to host a market in my backyard, the Goddess Glow Market. This is also what it means to trust in the unfolding of life and to say yes to the things that light you up. When my friend said to me, she was like, we need to have a market. And I was like, yes, we do. And I was like, and it needs to be in my yard and it's going to be a book launch and and it just like 6 weeks. And we had this like birthed into being and it happened and it was glorious. And it was all of these magical things in my backyard. And it was just incredible, right down to like the people who came. And it wasn't just anybody. I handpicked most of the people that came to that market. And if it didn't feel aligned, they did not come. They were not invited. And that's just how it was. Because when you are very much in tune with your energy and your alignment, then it doesn't matter. You have no problem saying no to other people because that can make or break things. Even during the market, I had everybody placed where I wanted them to be so that the energy would flow. And then that was on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, we had a few people that had to leave. They could only be there for the Saturday, which was fine. And so I had to move some people around because I was like, the energy's not flowing anymore. So I need this person here, this person there. I needed to have whatever. And like, you can only say that when you've had experience. Okay. And I had a lot of experience going to other markets where maybe the energy felt off, or it was like, just like, if I hadn't witnessed and experienced those things, then I wouldn't have known in order to put on my own market. Do you know what I mean? And so like, there's this learning lesson, there's these experiences that we need to go through, and some of them are shitty experiences, but we also are learning from those as well. Right? Like I've gone to like markets where I just sat there and I did nothing. And I was like, well, this was not the vibe, right? And don't get me wrong. I was worried. I was like, oh, I hope my market's not like this. And it wasn't. It was beautiful. And we even had like witchy workshops in the afternoon that everybody came together and made bundles, like clearing bundles and witchy wands. And it was so good. And we had like sound bowl and piano, like sound bath or whatever collaboration. And it was so beautiful. Like when I say that my backyard is magical, it is magical. And I'm sure when like it gets to be summer, I'll probably start recording in my backyard because I just love being back there in general. And I have my goddess circles back there and it's like magical things happen in my backyard. Like, and I literally cannot make that up. Anybody who's experienced, and it was just 1313 on my time. Anybody who's actually experienced my like goddess circles will say like crazy stuff happens in my backyard. But anyway, with that being said, like I would not have been able to do these things had I not had the experience that I had I not done the work, had I not gone through all of these things, right? And that's what I do for women is I help them with their evolution and their journey and their becoming in Self-Love Queen Academy, right? And it might be through transition of like a life transition from like marriage to being single, and it might be like just in jobs, or it just might be in like how you love yourself and the way you show up in the world, and like how much belief or lack of belief you have in yourself, or whatever it is, right? Everybody comes together for themselves. And I noticed that like each group, this is my 4th time running it, but each group had their own like theme. We have like a structure that we follow, and then we actually like it's customized to each group to make it fit, if that makes sense. So the guided meditations are not always the same, and because we're clearing different things for different people, right? But everybody has this common theme. And I felt the first one was very much about like confidence, like believe, like that confidence in yourself, right? And speaking up and how you show up in the world and that kind of stuff. And then like the second one was very much around like body image. I felt, was that the second one? Yeah. And then the third one was what was the third one? Very much about like how they showed up in the world. Oh my gosh, did I mess that up? I don't know, I can't remember. But you know what I mean. Is each one was different. It kind of like it was structured for the people that were there. And that's what I do. And that's why none of my things are the same. Even my goddess circles, there's a structure to it, but like if I'm intuitively guided to shift and change it, then that's what we do, because it's to help support the group that is there at that time, right? And I wouldn't know how to do these things if I hadn't like built that trust and built that relationship with myself, right? And so this is what it means to come back to yourself over and over and again, right? Because we are always evolving, we are always up leveling, we are always like the only constant in life is change and growth and evolution and whatever else. And if you're not, then you're just stagnant. You're just living on Groundhog Day over and over and over again. And don't get me wrong, like we always need integration. Like yesterday, we just had, when I'm recording this, we just had the transition from the year of the snake into the year of the horse. And you're not going to feel this energy and this momentum. Like we kind of feel it, but you're not going to notice a change probably until about the beginning of March. And the reason I know how to like tap into this energy and everything is because I've been doing it, like practicing it like a muscle and strengthening it for years. Okay. And that's also doing my lives. How do I know what I know? I couldn't even tell you. Couldn't even tell you how I give people readings on live and they resonate and they're accurate. And I just talk about what comes through. So it's just, that's a part of like being connected and being in tune and sharing your gifts and whatever else, right? And I couldn't even, years ago, I would not have even been able to show up here and be like, yeah, I have psychic abilities. I was in denial about that for a long time. I was like, yeah, I'm intuitive. Girl, okay, who are you kidding? But anyway, so like this is about the whole evolutionary process, right? And not all your gifts come to you at the same time, because otherwise you'd be bombarded and your nervous system would be like, holy F, what am I doing? What is all of this? I can't handle it, right? I did. Oh my God. So I have to tell this. I have to share the story with you because this is what it means also to be so in tune with the universe in general, that you are so bombarded with synchronicities and it is like just freaking amazing. Sometimes, like, as much as I'm like, this is the duality of life where you have days where you're like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck, right? And then there's other days where you're like, fuck, it is amazing to be like a person in this world right now, right? So this is about the duality of life, and you're allowed to experience both of those dualities, right? You're just allowed to. That's part of being human and having this human experience, okay? So I hosted a sacred union circle for a couple at my house for Valentine's Day on Friday the 13th, which is the day of the goddess, okay? And it was so divine. And I had like rose petals and I had like candles because I wanted it to feel really like romantic and sensual, but not like in a weird way. Okay. Because it was like I was facilitating it for this couple, right? So they came and it was like amazing to witness. Like it really was amazing to witness these people who have committed to their connection to each other, to want to renew that. And we even went as far as like clearing the past, that they like their shit from their past, right? That it's like, we want to let that go. We don't want this to fester and in your relationship anymore, right? And we talked about it and it was beautiful. And then we made a union jar and wrote new vows as the people that they are now, not the people that they were when they got married, but the people they are now, because the vows that they have to each other now are different than the ones that they had when they got married. So they got to write these vows and they read each other's vows. They didn't want to read it to each other, which was totally fine. It's their own experience, right? And then we had other symbolic things that they put into the jar to build to what they want in their relationship going forward. And it was just like, it was really beautiful. It was like, I just loved it so much. And then to be able to take them to do some clearing and take them through this like guided meditation to connect them and root them down into the ground with their union, with new branches and new possibilities and all of these things. And it was just like, I loved it. I just loved it so much. And I was so grateful to be able to do that. Like that was an intuitive hit that I got the one day that I was like, I have to do this for Valentine's Day. And I did. And it was amazing. And I just like, yeah, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this for more couples. This is beautiful. Like, I just like, I don't know. Like, it's something that I needed to do. And I would have not been able to do that in probably 2019 when I was like a little bit more pessimistic about relationships. Um, but I also had my own experiences that I needed to learn, right? And like I said, every relationship that we have is a reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves and the work that we still need to do internally. And there's nothing wrong with that. A reason, a season, and a lifetime, right? Some relationships are going to last lifetimes, but you know what? I can't even say a lifetime. The only relationship that you're going to experience for a lifetime is the one with yourself. So why not make it a good one, right? We are so mean to ourselves. Sometimes the things that we say to ourselves, we would never say to another individual. And if you do say them to another individual, then that's a whole different situation that needs to be addressed. But that's another discussion for another day. So anyway, my whole story is I did this union circle, and after I was just like, this was so amazing, and Freya was so good in her kennel the whole time. And so I was like, I'm going to take her to the dog park because she deserves to run around and play because she was such a good girl. And I wanted to be out. It was a beautiful evening still, right? And so I wanted to be out with the fresh air and everything. And I took her to the dog park, and there was like in the clearing, just like a field full of white rabbits. And I was like, oh, actually, I forgot to say the card. So the card that I pulled for the couple is the Sophia card. And if you know anything about Sophia, it's like that divine feminine wisdom energy, right? And Sophia's been coming through me quite a bit lately. So much so that when I did my painting for my mural on my wall in the living room, right where I hosted the Sacred Union Circle, the painting I did was giving me Sophia energy when I was doing it. Okay. So Sophia is like, also, she was like there at the birth of on my timer. Oh my God. At the birth of like the creation of the world. Right. Okay. So there's a lot of history around it. We're not going to go into it today, but, so yeah, I pulled the Sophia card and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Anyway. And so like there was white rabbits through the field. Like I was just like, oh my God. And they were just sitting there. And I was like, this is amazing. Like rabbits represent new beginnings. And I was like, yes, all the new beginnings. And white is like purity, right? So that newness, that freshness. And then like to see a field of them and just like so calm and peaceful and serene within themselves, which is like exactly what I want to create for myself and others. That's why I created this sacred reset, right? So that we're not like living in turmoil within ourselves and our body and our mind and our system, because as women, we've been doing that for so freaking long. Like, I don't know about you, but I really just want fucking peace in my life now. I really do. And if somebody is going to create turmoil in my life, well, first of all, I need to take a deeper look and be like, okay, why is this being reflected back to me? Secondly, usually then I'm like, this is not what I want in my life. Can we change this and shift this? Or are we just like done? But, it was just beautiful. And so then, because it gets better, it totally gets better. It gets so much juicier than this. A couple days later, and I was like, I don't know what it is about going to the dog park, but apparently this is my outing now, is going to the dog park. Maybe I'll meet somebody there. Who knows? But the song that I put on in the vehicle when I was leaving was My Kind of Lover. Okay, because why not, right? Like, it's a good song. And leaving the bay, there were 2 white rabbits sitting on the corner of the bay. And I was like, all right, universe, thank you. Thank you. Because 2, partnership, white, new beginnings, purity, all of that. And I was like, you know, like when you're calling this shit in, and I'm seeing from 444. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. And that is just the universe saying, you are in the right vibration. You are on the right frequency. You are vibrating exactly where you need to be in order to be so aware and to be so present and so like feeling so stable and whatever within yourself. Like, yes, you are on the right track. Right. And so I think it's just, I don't know, it's just so amazing to experience, right? But there's an evolution to it. There really is. The relationship with yourself is going to evolve over and over and over again. And I think it takes me back to the reel that I came across one day, and it's stuck with me for so long, about how this younger guy was interviewing this older man, and he's like, how have you made your relationship last for all of these years? Like, how have you sustained the time? Like, how have you done this? Right? And he said, it's like, because I fell in love with every version of her. And as the divine feminine, we go through so many phases in our life. So many phases. Like, you're not the same. Like, I was actually having a session with a man, and he was very much stuck on the like wanting the wife he married. And I was like, that's not even possible. That's not even possible, because like childbirth changes a woman. It really does. Or even getting pets. Okay. Like, that's a different form of motherhood. It really is. Okay. So like, that changes a person. Getting our dog changed me. Not even gonna lie. Changed me. So where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So women, like, we go through this evolutionary process all the time. And that also requires us to grieve those past aspects of ourselves, to grieve those past, like, people that we were, right? Like, I've grieved lately the version of myself that was like the party girl, going out, having drinks, dancing, just being like, woo, carefree and whatever else. And now I'm just like carefree in a different way. And that's not a bad thing, but there's still like this process. There's still this evolution. There's still this grieving that happens. And it's like, I am not that person anymore. Even like identifying as like the hairstylist. Everybody would always ask me, what do you do for a living? And I'll be like, oh, I'm a hairstylist. Because it was my default. And everybody was usually like, oh, yeah, I could tell you're a hairstylist, right? And so it's like, when you've been a hairstylist for like a quarter of a century, like, that becomes your identity. And it's like, I don't want to just be the hairstylist anymore. That's not just who I am, right? I have evolved into this like different version of myself that, yeah, I do hair, but there's so much more to it. There's so many more things that I do. And it's just a beautiful process for people to like evolve through their life. And it's beautiful to witness. And I really, really love it. I really love it. And I love being able to guide people through it and help them with their like aha moments, and like give them different perspectives, and to like heal their inner child and their relationship with themselves. Because that's what it's about. It's your relationship with yourself. And do you really, really, like, I know we talk about self-love and everyone's like, self-love, bubble baths, and go get your nails done and Betty's and whatever else. No, it's not. It's not. That's self-care. Okay? That's self-care, not self-love. We do self-care because we love ourselves. Okay? But they're very different. Okay? Self-love is a choice every day to look at yourself in the mirror and to love the person who's staring back at you in the mirror. And I can tell you, there was many, 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 many years where I did not love the person staring back at me in the mirror. Didn't. And so I had to take a deep inventory, because I did not want to stay that way, especially for my girls. I wanted them to be so confident in who they are and how they show up in the world, and that they just believe in themselves, that no matter what, they can achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve, right? And to not settle for less in relationships, and not settle for less in life. And that started with me, because I am their mom. And so I have to show them, I have to be that mirror, right? And there's still some days where I'm just like, I need to check myself because I'm not showing up as my best, right? But it really is beautiful, all of it. And I'm really grateful for the women I've already been able to take on this journey with Self Love Queen Academy. And I actually am going to have a few of the beautiful queens come on and like talk about their experience with Self Love Queen Academy in the upcoming episodes, because we are actually launching Self Love Queen Academy in March. On March 19th is when we're going to be kicking it off. And it is my 12-week group coaching program where we go into all of this. We break it down and release so many things. And women have changed their lives dramatically. I'm talking about new careers. I'm talking about new relationships. I'm talking about marriage. I'm talking about traveling the world. Like, it's amazing to me to see the transformation from week 1 to week 12. Right? Yeah. I'm very excited to be able to share those episodes with you. But for that, I invite you, actually, if you're interested in joining Self Love Queen Academy, to reach out to me, or if you want more details, please book a coffee chat with me. I have the link for that in the description below. And if you want a little bit more help on a regular basis, I have the Sacred Reset. And that's for you to just do at your own leisure. Whenever you need support, you come into the group, you find what it is that you need, whether it's a guided meditation. We do like full moon and new moon, clearing and activations, and really just like healing your nervous system. And it's something that's really going to be needed. Like, I feel like I'm just like on repeat all the time when I'm on my lives. And I was like, that's why I created the Sacred Reset. And that's why I created Self Love Queen Academy. And that's why I created this. And that's why I created that. Right. But it is. And it's to help support you along your journey. Right. Especially with the energy of the fire horse, because it's energy that we have never felt before, never experienced and never felt. And the visual that I received, it's like that horse, like when it takes off, like you're either going to be one with that horse and centered and know where it is that you're going, or it's going to be running you wild. It is. And nobody wants to experience that. Right. And also because I'm like, I have created more peace and stability and connection and oneness and wholeness within myself, that's what women need in their lives, is more of, especially with everything that is going on in the world. Because when you like start looking at that, it is a lot for the nervous system to handle. And so when we can really be strong and centered within ourselves, then we're able to take more aligned action and be more intuitively connected with ourselves so that we can make better decisions for ourselves and for our life and everything going forward. Because when we're operating in fear and when we're operating in scarcity and we're operating in lack, we're not making good choices. We're living from survival, and we don't want to be living from survival anymore. Okay. We're not surviving. We're thriving now. Okay. In the year of the horse, that's what we want to be doing, is thriving. Okay. So if you are interested in anything that I've discussed today, you can please reach out to me, or check out the description below where it has the links for everything in there. Okay. So I am sending you all so much love, and looking forward to connecting you again. Have a beautiful day.